Vietnam, I know you're bullish on Vietnam. Lots of people like to talk about Vietnam. They look at it on paper. They say this is maybe China 15, 20 years. But right before they pull the trigger, just the uncertainty of a sort of emerging frontier market, exposure to the regulatory framework, the currency exposure, last minute they get turned off. How do you handle that?
I think it's a little bit easier for us because we run a fairly sizable fund, Pan-Asia. So Vietnam, I think if the government keep on the path they're on without making drastic policy changes, I think Vietnam will still likely in the next 5 to 7 years be by far the highest return market of any Southeast Asia market or Asian markets for that matter. But it's relatively small. So the ticket size are relatively small. So there is risk, right? The risk is policies can affect drastically how the market behave. If left to free market economy, Vietnam, it's almost what we call a no-brainer because you have cheap labor, young, highly productive, and hardworking. Right? You look at, it's no coincidence that all the factories that are getting displaced out of southern China in Guangzhou province because higher wages is making them non-competitive. Instead of going back to earlier traditional bases like Malaysia, Thailand, or Indonesia, it's all going to Vietnam because young population and productivity, right? So that trend is going to continue. But whether the government now realize they got a good thing going and they actually try to make unusual policy to rein that in or change the dynamics drastically, that is always a risk. But if they let the free market behave the way it's going, it's a phenomenal opportunity.
Is that what's happening? They're letting the free market...
For the time being, right? Because
right.
I think they like to look at what China has done and what made China work and try to follow. And they obviously, they also learned through a painful lesson a couple of years ago with the high inflation, banking issues, and drastic devaluation of the currency, right? That was a painful lesson. And it was also during that time where we saw the potential, so we were willing to actually go in fairly significantly as a vote of confidence to the country, and the government has nicely rewarded us with giving us a couple of properties where we were able to buy from the market and buy from the government and show the rest of the world our confidence in the country.